Hello, my name is Catherine Martinez. I'm going to present my case study, Field Hours, which would have been an essay form, but I recently had an eye procedure done. So I'm doing it in this format so that I'm not on the computer way longer than I should. It limits my screen time and I'm able to, present it in this manner. So I'll start off with the first part of the questions, and I've got them up on my screen because I can use magnification on my computer. It lets me blow things up a little bit bigger so that it's easier for me to see. So the first thing that it asks for this project is the history of our school. Our school is called the Bright Beginnings of Deltona Preschool. I conducted my observations or field hours both in my classroom and outside of my classroom in our preschool 3-year-old age group. We are called Bright Beginnings of Deltona Preschool. However, we are on the outskirts of the city of Deltona, not quite in the cut of it all. Our school has been open for 9 years now. This year we will celebrate our 10th year anniversary, and we are so very excited to celebrate that with not only the members or the family members in our school, but the members of our community. A little history of Deltona. Deltona was established in 1962. It was originally just going to be residential / retirement community for about 35,000 residents. The Mackle brothers, Elliot, Frank, and I believe, let me make sure that I've got his name right. Elliot, Robert, and Frank. I knew I was right on the right track. They are the Mackle brothers, and they established the city. So originally, back in 1962, they bought 17,000 acres of land here in the city of Deltona, and construction started immediately. And they had the plan was they filed the permit for a plan to build 35,000 residential homes. And like I said, it was originally just going to be a community for like a retirement community, and originally for several years that's exactly what it was. It was a quiet area, and homes, like I said, building everything started really quickly, enough that by 1963, the end of 1963, there was already, homes were built, people were establishing themselves, small businesses were up and rising in the city of Deltona, which was phenomenal. By 1988, we had our very first high school, Deltona High, and it was great. And in my church, Sister Kellner, she's a great lady. She's now passed, but when I met her, she was I want to say she was 68, close to 70. She was one of the very first students in Deltona High. But by 1963, like I said, construction was half completed. 1988, we had our very first high school. So our community has really flourished since then. In this area now, fast forward, several years later, our community has really flourished. Our city was one of the very first cities in Volusia County, and it is now one of the biggest cities in our county. We also have the highest taxes in our county, one of the cities with the highest tax rate. But we do fairly well, and it is a city full of different types of people. And I think that's what I enjoy the most about Deltona. It is, compared to Miami, very small. However, I'll find my students at the grocery store all the time, Ross. There's a lot of places where I'll see them. As far as the languages that are spoken here, there's a large community of Puerto Rican families. So obviously Spanish, Spanish, and English is spoken. In our school particularly, there is a big group of children that understand Spanish but do not speak it, and then there's a small group that also do speak it, and a large group of children that just speak English. In the city, there's a large community, like I said, of Puerto Rican families. There's also a small community of Vietnamese citizens or residents, and we know because there's several restaurants, several businesses that cater to Vietnamese food, Vietnamese not only cuisine but Vietnamese items, health stores with a lot of Vietnamese made products for anybody, absolutely anybody in the community. However, it does cater to a lot of Vietnamese residents, which is great because they probably feel like there is a little piece of home away from home. The next question is level of income level. I would say that in our city, the property, like I said, property taxes, state taxes, federal taxes is pretty high. But what I have noticed a lot from working here at our school is that families work very hard. There is no way that one member of the family, one parent, can sustainably afford tuition for school and maintain a family household financially. There is the need for two incomes. I have one particular family which our mommy works 2 jobs and dad works 1 job, so there's 3 different incomes just from 2 people to sustain or maintain, I suppose, the financial aspects of their household, and they only have 1 child. So I can't imagine what it can be for a family, a larger family. So it varies. Community map. Where are the key places in the community? I will tell you right now, a key place is Starbucks down the street from our school. It's a lot of our families, for some reason, love to go there. But a key place is probably our City of Deltona's community center. It is a huge multi-million-dollar project that our county built here in our city. It is called the Center at Deltona, and it is a great place for events. A lot of up-and-coming comedians have their shows there. A lot of artists perform there, and most events that I attended this year from there were free. Some were not. Some had covers for about, I think it was the highest I paid was $10. But the events were phenomenal, and you get such a large group of diverse group of people. You have, I saw some people from other counties coming, and it was great because you can hear Jamaicans, you can hear, I think that I heard one Haitian performer. There was several Hispanic artists there. There was several Hispanic community of people there too. And, it was such a melting pot of all kinds of people, and the languages that you hear, the tones, it's the accents there. It's phenomenal. It's such a blend of people, and it brings everybody. Those kind of events bring the community together. Characteristics of my school, size-wise, we're a fairly small school. But what we lack in size, we make up in readiness rates. So size of our school, socioeconomic level, a lot of our families, I would say all of them, they both work. I have several families who are single mom families. I have some students who are being raised by their grandparents. Socioeconomic level, it varies in my school, but I would say about 30% of our children are state funded. They receive state funds as far as childcare assistance. Ratio of students to teachers. So in my classroom, it's 18-2 during the 9 to 12 hours for voluntary pre-kindergarten program. However, after that 12 p.m. mark, I'm allowed to have 20 to myself. That is the ratio. For the 3-year-old classroom, it is 15-1. There are children who I have in my school who are special need children, and I usually try to have another person in that classroom that comes in and out just to help assist in any way possible. Sometimes there's overstimulation for some of the students, and so what we do is try to break down into groups. And so the 3-year-old teacher usually has someone that comes in and out just to assist in anything that she might need. And then I have a person in my classroom, a teacher assistant, and we mesh so well. And it's been really great to have that extra help, because I do have children who are who have been diagnosed with ADHD, and they are my busybody kids. And having an extra person has really helped as far as ratio. Special activities and after school programs. We do not run an after school program in our school. However, as far as special activities, I think you can hear my students. As far as special activities go and events, we have a spirit calendar at our school. It shows a host of different types of events or activities that we do every single day, from dress up to school events when we have the ice cream truck come. So that's where we left off yesterday. The size of my school it's not a really big school at all. We're a private provider. We have been for 9 years. The classroom that I observed was a classroom that needed a lot of shift. There's children with behavior issues, but a lot of children who are bilingual in there too. And what's really cool about the changes that we made in that classroom, what was really cool about it is what I've been learning content-wise in this class, I've been able to implement there. Some of the things that we have been talking about is making sure that there's a print-rich environment in that class for all the students. We've been doing some labeling. We've been changing some toys around and manipulatives to cater to the children that are in that class that are learning a new language. They are picking up incredibly quickly. Something that my teacher has done more of is music and movement, and incorporating music into everything that she does. And it has been tremendously helpful for the younger age groups. So they are 3 going on 4. Some of them are young 3-year-olds, middle-aged 3-year-olds as we call it, and some are already 4. The youngest ones that are bilingual, and there are 3, they're younger 3s and are picking up the language a lot better. They are in speech therapy, which is helping them tremendously. However, I think that the shift in how we are exposing them to language, as far as using different scaffolding strategies like music, a print-rich environment, labeling things, having a visual to a word so they can make that connection to text. A lot of the books that we have put in there also are Spanish books to cater to the language they are familiar with and comfortable with, and that's really been helpful. So a lot of our color books, our books about opposites, our books about positional words are also in Spanish for them, so that they feel like there is something that is important to them in that classroom. We do a lot of creative curriculum. The curriculum that we use is Learn Every Day, and it is a great curriculum. The preschool classroom and myself, we use that curriculum along with other things that I have personally incorporated in this classroom from the FAST assessment, Florida's assessment of student thinking, just administered by Start Early Literacy through Renaissance. It is something we participated in the pilot, and now that it's rolled out, it's been really great, and I've seen a lot of improvement in my children as we've changed or shift into I don't want to say test mode, but as we've shifted towards class tools through TeachZone, I've been able to incorporate more diverse ways in making sure that not only is everybody included and that everybody feels supported in this environment, in our classroom environment, but also language-wise. I've had to find books from the library that cater to not only Vietnamese but Spanish in my classroom, because I had two different types of English language learners this year. And it was really interesting to see how quickly they picked up the language through play and interactions with their peers. It was really interesting to see how language evolved in this classroom through simple things like morning rituals and greetings in the morning, and morning song time, and music and movement, and literature. Especially literature played a tremendous part in helping my English language learners thrive in learning English, and I was so incredibly proud of them. Languages and dialects, like I said, what we saw mostly this year was a lot of Spanish speakers. We aren't sure if that's because a lot of families are moving from the South, from Miami to here, or from Central and South America. We've had a lot of families from the Caribbean, which has been great too. We don't have a specific program for our English language learners. We just try to use a lot of different scaffolding methods and different strategies as we learn to navigate learning the English language with them, and how to best help them. So it takes a little while, like it took me a little while to get started, get some momentum this past school year with my English language learners, because I wanted to learn more about them, more about their family, have that connection with their family, so that I could incorporate family traditions and anything that I needed to know from them into what we do in the classroom, but also have that connection so that we can work together so that their child can thrive. What's cool is I speak Spanish too. I speak fluent English and Spanish, and it's been really cool to have that mesh, but work as a team so that their child can thrive in our classroom and in our school. One of the other things that I observed while I was in that classroom, the 3-year-old classroom, and ours, with our teachers, assistants and whatnot, is we work well together between this class and our 3-year-old classroom, with syntax, and you're arranging the words into sentences and phrases. But what I love that the 3-year-old classroom teacher does is that she stops and does models the language that she wants to hear in them. It's really cool to see when the children, even bilingual learners, are repeating. The accent doesn't matter, but they are repeating the words. It's phenomenal to see how, seeing syntax and in play when we are modeling the language through literature, through story time, and even through play. An example, one of the kids was playing in kitchen, and they were in Spanish, they were saying, "Oh, my cocina," and so the teacher said, "Well, what's a cocina?" And she's looking at her, and you can tell she's understanding, but she doesn't know how to say it. So she starts pointing, and she's like, "Oh, your kitchen? Say kitchen. Kitchen, yes, this is a kitchen." And she's phrasing those words together, arranging them for her to understand this is a kitchen. And she's like, "Say it with me." And so she's modeling the language, those words, and she is repeating. And it was a great interaction to observe, because she is those words, those phrases, they're going into that memory bank, and they're staying there. It's solid foundation for her to continue to grow in her ability to understand the English language. There's definitely a lot of practices, language practices, in a variety of ways, some smaller than others, but in both classrooms, it's definitely evident that bilingual learners have opportunities to be exposed to the English language in both visual and text form. Emergent bilinguals, students. There is also a variety of writing samples. So they do a lot of, because they are very young learners, they do a variety of writing, cutting, tearing, the manipulation of pencil through tracing, and then independent writing. And there are samples of their work in the English language. I find it hard. I think that was, as I reflect back on it now, I think that that's one thing I'd like to learn or gain more understanding about, or maybe more strategies on how I can incorporate that into their writing. It was challenging. I think that when it comes to the print rich environment, and being able to use techniques in the overall classroom, it was easier than when it came down to writing. And reflecting on it now, I think that that's something in the future, I think going forward, that might be something we look at as far as training goes. So what I learned this semester, one thing I really enjoyed was seeing the mesh of languages in my classroom. It was like a small melting pot. Hearing my Vietnamese student get upset and get all riled up in her language because a friend was not sharing. She understands what the situation is about, what it is making her feel socially and emotionally. But interpreting that in a brand new, different language, to her, it was really interesting to see. It was interesting, even great to see how she interacted with the rest of her peers. And little by little, it was evident towards the end of the school year how she was starting to leave her own native language behind. Her family started asking if we could incorporate more Vietnamese rich books in the classroom for her, and that was not a problem. That was something that we tried to accommodate, because we don't want them to lose the essence of the root of their native tongue. It's important. It's equally important. I think that's one of the things that, and the content, staying true or genuine to their traditions and their family is important. I really enjoyed in this the study of this of ESOL practices, all the terminology. I was unfamiliar to so much of it, morphology, syntax, and emergent literacy, things that I thought I was knowledgeable in. It really took me by a loop how to incorporate those things for English language learners, for bilinguals in my classroom. I didn't always have bilingual learners. This had such a growth of English language learners, and we're not sure whether it's the migration of families coming from the South or coming from Central South America, but it has been really great to have such a diverse group of families in our school. In the Thrill classroom, definitely bilingual learners. This class and its practices, whether it was the terminology or the strategies to help them, really facilitated that opportunity. And I found it so incredibly helpful, everything that I was able to put into practice. So if I could take anything from this course, it's that everything that was in the course content is applicable. It's relatable, and it's something you can apply to your current classroom if you are in one, or your future classroom. You can apply it 100%. The practices in the course content really helped, at least for me, reflecting on my school year. The practices I have been able to put with from the end of the school year to overall, a great experience in this class, and a lot of well explained best practices as a teacher or future educator for bilingual learners. Definitely took a lot out of this course in the last 6 weeks, and which I implemented in the last couple weeks of my school year with my bilingual learners, and it has been it's been great. Some of these practices, I did see that there was an overlap with another course that I took, a lot of similarities, which I thought was great, because what that course was lacking, this course was able to really bring everything together that I had been practicing from the beginning of the school year to the end. So it was a really overall great wrap around for the school year. So thank you so much, and thank you for this opportunity to continue to learn and further my education as a teacher.